One funny thing about the effect Dan Campbell's had on this league is that in the coaching cycle last year, everybody was looking for a Dan Campbell type. And I was talking to people in the league saying, you can't find them. They don't exist. Either they're frauds and they're saying they're all about culture, or they're not even pretending to be about culture. Or they're just giving sort of a half-hearted answer when they talk about it. He is one of one. He is ultimately the culture coach in the NFL. Everybody wants one, but they cannot find one.
Yeah, on top of that, and people don't know this because you mentioned that whole meathead perception. He's a very skilled offensive coach. He comes from Sean Payton, Drew Brees. So
check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
The Lions were 1/2 away from the organization's first Super Bowl, 17 points ahead on the San Francisco 49ers entering the second half of the NFC Championship game. We all know what happened there, but the Lions have had a fantastic offseason. Both offensive and defensive coordinators are coming back. Free agency, the draft, they've re-signed pillar players, the culture. We entered this video with Dan Campbell discussing the future and where the mindset is of this organization. Everything is looking up for the Detroit Lions as we head into 2024. Thank you guys so much for returning for another video. I am your host, Johnny Gaz. Today we're going to introduce a new series to the channel, the Top 10 series on Johnny Gaz Sports, and we are going to hit the mightiest of topics. Today, we're going to go over the top 10 things that need to happen for the Lions to win a Super Bowl. Let's go. Before we dive into this top 10 list, make sure to like the video. It is the best free way to help out the channel. Hit that subscription button and notify bell so you don't miss any future videos here on Johnny Gaz Sports. And we also now have a membership option, which you should see many more top 10 series videos made available. If you'd like to become a part of the channel, I would love to see you get involved. Thank you guys so much. We are officially on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the recent support on these videos. I love talking Lions football. Let's get into today's topic. The top 10 things that need to happen for the Lions to win a Super Bowl in 2024. What a huge topic. Definitely hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think needs to happen for the Lions in 2024. But let's set some parameters. I think for me, and I would say probably for most people that I talked to before we got into this topic, the biggest thing is injuries. And I think that's number one. So I'm going to take that off the list altogether before we get even started. If a guy like Jared Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You could make an argument for a few other players as well. If any one of those guys go down, the whole thing sort of falls apart. So I'm going to take that off the list altogether. I think that is the most obvious thing that needs to happen for the Lions to win a Super Bowl. They have to stay healthy. So I'm taking that off the list altogether. Let's start right there and get into this top 10.
Number 10.
All right, and at number 10, and we'll work kind of our way from 10 to 1, what I think is least important to most important as far as needs that need to happen for the Lions to win a Super Bowl. At number 10, I think maintaining the momentum or as much momentum as you can towards the end of the season. What I mean by that is you have games against Chicago, San Francisco, and Minnesota. At Chicago, at San Fran, and then home with Minnesota, similar to last year. But as we went through in our previous video going over the schedule and record prediction, going to Chicago and San Francisco is a tough two-game stretch. If Chicago builds momentum with this newly formed roster, Caleb Williams, everything that they have going into this season, if they build and build and build through the 2024 season, by week 16, they should be feeling pretty good about themselves, and you're going to Chicago. That's one of the Lions' only outdoor, what could potentially be bad weather games. You're following that up with what could be the hardest game on your schedule all year long in week 17 against San Francisco. Now, there's certainly other arguments could be made. They could be in a great position by then where these games don't truly matter. I would love that. But if they are battling for playoff position, for a division title, I mean, these games are going to be huge. So, at Chicago, at San Francisco, I have those as 2 losses. And if that's the case, you're not building a lot of momentum as you're heading into the playoffs. So hopefully they can get that win against Minnesota at the end of the year as I'm predicting. And then again, build towards the playoffs. And I'm using that as my number 10 as far as keeping that momentum towards the end of the year as you get into that playoff run.
Number 9.
At number 9, I have continuing the offensive creativity. We know offensive coordinator Ben Johnson is returning for the 2024 season, and Dan Campbell actually plays a huge part in the offense. So with those two guys combined over the last several seasons, they've really come up with an offense that is tailored towards their dominant offensive line, insulating Jared Goff. They have 2 great running backs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and hopefully an up-and-coming receiving core. I hope that they continue to stay creative in the offensive scheme. We just came off a video talking about the backup quarterback, Hendon Hooker, and creative ways that they might be able to use him if he ends up being the athletic quarterback that they think he's going to be. That, along with their play-action game, I think utilizing their running backs in the passing game a little bit more this year could be beneficial. There's going to be different ways that I think defenses will now scheme towards the Lions, and they're going to have to find ways to work around that. So continuing that offensive creativity, I think, is going to be very important in 2024.
Number 8.
Number 8 is another obvious one, and I almost included it with the health factor here to rule it out. So this could fall in a lot of places on this list, but I think winning the turnover battle and the turnover ratio is key to success in general in any game in football, but overall in a season. And if you're going to win a Super Bowl, you have to be successful in winning the turnover ratio. I think on average, the plus-minus ratio is +8 for Super Bowl champions. So, it's very rare that you're going to lose the turnover battle and honestly make it through an NFL season. So that's got to be on my list here, and I'm certainly going to include that. So the Lions have to be opportunistic on defense, hopefully get the takeaways when they can, and, of course, protect the ball on offense as much as possible. Win that turnover battle, and good things will happen.
Number 7.
At number 7, I have they need to find their reliable kicker. And I'm not saying that he's not already on the roster. We know the Lions have Michael Badgley. And according to Pride of Detroit, he's done well in OTAs and made several situational kicks at distance, over 52 and 60 yards. But overall, Michael Badgley, hasn't been spectacular. I think he's 24 of 28 on field goals, 46 of 48 extra points, but really hasn't been able to kick anything from distance. I mean, you could also make the argument that the way that Dan Campbell runs his offense, the aggressive style that he has taken opportunities away from Michael Badgley and other kickers. But, the other side of that is, well, maybe they just don't have faith in the kicker enough to take a longer kick. So in my opinion, they need to find the guy that they trust the most, a reliable kicker. The talk out there is the UFL kicker Jake Bates from the Michigan Panthers. Well, I think there's going to be several teams that want his services, and I don't know what that will look like as the UFL season comes to an end. So we'll see. I don't want to speculate. I mean, that it'd be a good thing to bring, I think, some competition in the camp so that you develop at least the guy that you can trust in clutch and pressure situations. I just think that sort of competition would breed the best of the best. So I hope that they'll do what they can to get the kicker that they're going to have faith in as they get towards the end of the season and into the playoffs, when you truly have to make a clutch kick. I mean, there might come a time where you need 3 points or to tie a football game and you don't have any other option. And if Michael Badgley is the only guy you have and you don't think he can make a 55-yarder to tie a game, then maybe you need to rethink who's kicking the football for you. So at number 7, I think that's what they need to do, is find that reliable kicker.
Number 6.
And number 6 sort of plays off of number 7. We just mentioned Dan Campbell's aggressive style. Well, I think at number 6, what I put down is find the aggression balance. Right, we know coming off of the NFC Championship game, there were 2 failed fourth down conversion attempts that some would argue cost them the game. And I spent a lot of time going over why the Lions lost the NFC Championship game. And I don't necessarily think it was all because of these fourth down conversions. But the Lions and Dan Campbell have to find the right balance and when and how to go for it. Now, the Lions had the second most fourth down attempts in 2023. This is according to Samford.edu. They had 40 different attempts. This was before the San Francisco game. They converted on fourth down 24 or 40 times, which is a 60% conversion rate. Again, this is before the 49er game, which is very good. And it was even a larger success rate when looking at those 4th and 2, 4th and 3. So anything less than 3 yards was actually even a better percentage. So, I mean, Dan Campbell's a smart guy. He does play the percentages. He looks at the analytics and makes the best decision based on the number, but also the feel on the field, if that makes sense. He'll look across the field and see the other man and say, I'm going to beat you right now. I mean, that's the way Dan Campbell is. That's the culture he's built. So I don't want him to get away from that at all. But I want to make sure that when we use that aggression, it's used at the right time, the right place, and ultimately leads them to that ultimate success. So I think it's a very important thing as we head into the 2024 season, is that they find the right rate of aggression.
Number 5. 5?
At number 5, I sort of have a two-parter. I think the main thing is that the young players, these guys that we've just drafted over the last several seasons, they need to continue to flourish. If this is now going to work heading into the future with the big mega contracts we're signing, the younger players need to continue to shine. Guys like Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, we could go through on and on and on. The other part of this, which ties into it, is Jameson Williams. He's what I think the final piece to the Lions offense being the best unit in 2024. And we've spent a lot of time on a previous video there in the archives going over this in detail. But J-Mo needs to step up. He has to become officially an offensive weapon for the Lions and for this offense. If the Lions are going to win a Super Bowl, they did not go out and get another offensive piece, at least at wide receiver. Yes, they bolstered the offensive line. They re-signed Amon-Ra. They signed Goff. You know, they did actually re-sign Donovan Peoples-Jones, but they didn't bring in an outsider weapon, and I think that's because they have a lot of faith in Jameson Williams. So if he's able to take the next step up, I think that's going to be a big part of the Lions having success in 24.
Number 4.
At number 4 is the man you see on the thumbnail, the man going for a ride after that interception. I love that photo. I can't believe they caught that. But it's Aiden Hutchinson. He has to continue to ascend into this elite status. Some would argue he's already there. Some would say we need to continue this trajectory. He had 9.5 sacks in 2022, 11.5 in 2023, and he led the league in quarterback pressures. He was number 1 with 84. So again, I don't know if we need to continue the argument whether or not he's already elite, but if he continues the trajectory, I think we're on the right pace. Now, a lot of other factors will play into this. We've had a video on the channel talking about getting help for Hutchinson, finding other pieces to that defensive line to get a little bit of that pressure off of him so he can get at the quarterback. They brought in DJ Reader. They brought in Marcus Davenport on the other side, and we know about Aleem McNeil. So if these pieces can help out Aiden Hutchinson, I think he continues his trajectory and ultimately becomes that elite status player that we know he can be.
Number 3.
At number 3, it's all about the defense. I think that had to be the biggest focus heading out of the 2023 season and in 2024. And we've seen all the moves that they've made to bolster not only the defensive line, but of course the defensive backfield. Amik Robertson, Carlton Davis. We know what they did in the draft with Terrion Arnold and Rakestraw. We know about the pieces up front. We just got off that part. So they've added a lot of talent to the defense. Aaron Glenn coming back again as the defensive coordinator has now a lot of pieces that he can deploy as part of this defense. And for the Lions to win a Super Bowl in 2024 and beyond, I'm making the argument that they have to at least be middle of the road. You know, it's very rare that you can have a bad defense and win a Super Bowl. The 2006 Colts, the 2011 Giants are a couple examples of teams that truly had bad defenses but were able to somehow win a Super Bowl. Recent examples, the 2022 Chiefs, the 2021 Rams at 15 and 16 ranked defense. I mean, middle of the road defenses, but they were able to get it done because they have next level players on offense. And again, able to score points. And that's kind of been more so the recent history of the NFL, but you cannot be successful with a bad defense. So at number 3, the Lions, they have to at least find themselves in the middle of the road here on defense. And I think they've done enough in this offseason to not only do that, but maybe even put themselves into a top 15 type category. So that's a huge piece to this in 2024.
Number 2.
And I toyed with number 2 for a while. I actually had it at the tail end of this list, but as I rethought about everything, looked at the schedule again, kind of played this out in my head one more time, it became more and more and more important. We know this team plays well indoors. We know Jared Goff's success indoors on turf and out of the elements. Well, I think at number 2, one of the most important things and one of those top 10 items that need to happen for the Lions to win a Super Bowl is they need to win their division. They need to get a home playoff game, if not multiple home playoff games. I'm not saying this team couldn't win a Super Bowl as a wild card, but it's very rare. And especially knowing the makeup of this team, I think if we're projecting out for 2024, this is something that would need to happen. I looked at the teams as wild cards that have won the Super Bowl, and there's actually only been 7 in the modern Super Bowl era. The 1980 Oakland Raiders, the 97 Denver Broncos, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. We know what kind of defense they had. The 05 Pittsburgh Steelers, 07 New York Giants, the 2010 Green Bay Packers, and the 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's only been a handful of other teams to make the Super Bowl as a wild card. And again, in looking at this team, how they're made up, the culture, over the course of the season, they're going to have only a very small handful of outdoor games and elemental games. So for them to win the division, I think is vitally important if they're going to win a Super Bowl this year and beyond.
Number 1.
Number 1 champion. And at number 1, what I think is the most important thing, the thing that has to happen, that needs to happen for the Lions to win a Super Bowl. They just signed this man to a mega contract, making him the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL. This is for Jared Goff. For the Lions to win a Super Bowl, they need Jared Goff to maintain his status level of play. I'm not asking for Jared Goff to hit another level. I'm asking Jared Goff to maintain his current level of play, and that's been fantastic. And I've made several videos here on the channel outlining Jared Goff's stats, reasons why they should have signed him and did sign him to that contract. Definitely go take a look. But Jared Goff's trajectory is leading in the right direction, and I think if it continues that way, the Lions have a fantastic shot at making this happen. So at number 1, I have Jared Goff continuing his solid play. Over the last 3 seasons he's been a Lion, he has gone up and up and up in key categories. But overall, the offense has gone up and up and up. They've ranked 3rd in overall offense the last 2 seasons. And with some of the small additions they've made, if J-Mo takes that next step up, several of the things that we've talked about here today, they could get even better. So the Lions, for them to win a Super Bowl, I think the biggest thing that needs to happen is Jared Goff needs to maintain his fantastic play. It sounds obvious, but it's going to be the thing to get this thing done. So there it is, guys, the top 10 things that need to happen for the Lions to win a Super Bowl. What did I miss? Let me know down in the comments. Did I miss anything? Would you tweak anything? Did I mess up the order? Definitely let me know. I've had so much fun discussing Lions football with you guys over this offseason. I cannot thank you enough. Make sure to hit that like button if you dig the vibe here at Johnny Gaz Sports. Hit that subscription button and notify bell so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. We are officially on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks to you guys. I appreciate it so much. Definitely come back to the channel if you're interested in a membership. You will see videos like this, especially as we get towards the season. Many, many exclusive content videos coming your way. I cannot thank you guys enough. Have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. I will see you guys very soon.